We will upload to something.
Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah. Now it's recording. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, he has been my colleague at Edelweiss, and we have been meeting virtually every day when before the lockdown. So half an hour to 45 minutes we used to catch up with each other. Either he used to come down to my cabin or I used to go down to his cabin. So, and what we used to do is we used to always talk about something on spirituality and what are we doing. And Sushant is a person who loves to learn a lot. So recently, I'm very happy to inform that he got himself certified from Jack Canfield on the course called the Success Principles. So he's now officially a certified trainer for the Success Principles. And the best thing that he's going to do today is going to combine those Success Principles with whatever spirituality that he has learned over the years. And I'm sure that's a lot of it. And to able to connect those principles with the spirituality principles is a really a humongous task. And I'm sure he has been able to bring it very well. He is a very articulate person and very professional. I've seen him be very meticulous in the work that he does. And so I'm sure we'll be having a very good time now. He's also done some work with Psycho Neurobics and also the Lucy Hay, the Heal Your Life. So he's also certified for that as well, along with a lot of other certifications. I think he's a professional MBA and an engineer, so to boot. So I think we are going to have a great time learning about what is success and then apply these spiritual principles as well. So really, over to you, Sushant, and all the best.
Okay. Thanks, Jagdish, for that lovely introduction. Sometimes you feel that you are talking about a different person or the same person. But thanks once again for those kind words. Yeah.
Just before, since Jagdish has introduced you so much, I think Jagdish, you should have said that he also does some work in Edelweiss. He has done so much of work everywhere. Like, Tata Steel says, that we also make steel, is something that I remembered immediately after hearing the bad.
So Jagdish spoke only about the other part. Yes. So correct. You're right, Satish.
But I heard you enough. You and Sridhar, I heard you all enough on that day talking about your core business.
Yeah, correct. Which is there. Good. Thanks, Satish. Yeah, thanks.
He's a great professional in his regular business also. I can say that.
Okay. Okay. So we start with the presentation. So as Jagdish said, today, while I will be talking of success in general, but there is one key fundamental principle of success, which is I will spend time on, because otherwise it's a huge, big topic. But so that in 1.5 hours that we spend together, my objective is that there is a takeaway for each one of you, and including me. I will also be learning in this process as I will be explaining to you, and how we can put this to immediate practice. So,
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I hope you started your recording.
Yes, Litesh.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, what is success? Okay. So each one of us has a different definition of success. Again, I will not delve deeper into this because it's a very subjective matter. But the point what I want to bring out here is typically success we define in terms of what other people are doing or thinking. So moment we talk about success, the first thing which comes to our mind is money. How much money I make, or what is the name, fame, what I have, what is the success in work, career. But success can mean, there are multiple areas of our life. Let's say it could be personal, relationship, family, and so on. Yeah, some people describe success in these aspects as well. But still, what happens is after some point in time, we find that again, we find we are lacking or we are not happy with some aspects of our life. Why does that happen? That happens because every time we are defining success in terms of how other people see it. Very good definition of success, which I have come across. Now, this is the photo you see on the screen is called Earl Nightingale, and he is considered to be one of the founders or fathers of this modern day, what we call motivational and, success, what we talk about, the motivational techniques. And there is a very beautiful video on YouTube, which I would urge each one of you to watch. In 1956, he had recorded that, which is called is that the, Amazing Secret. And how he defines success. He says that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, the couple of points on this definition is it doesn't talk about finance, it doesn't talk about work, career, anything. It's an ideal you have, whatever it may be. And it's a progressive realization that is slowly, step by step, you are moving towards that. As long as you are doing that, it is a success. This definition, I like it very much because why it helps you to grow slowly, because overnight nobody is going to achieve success, one. Two, as you are progressing, it also calls for your internal growth as well. And then there is a worthy ideal, which is for each one of us to define whatever that is. And it's not defined as, cast in stone or as some specific thing which everybody is doing. So a teacher who says that he will be a teacher and does a good job of it is a success. Obviously a salespeople, this is easy to relate to because, sales, we set targets, you achieve. But yes, one who decides to be a salesperson and then, achieves that successfully is a success. And at the same time, a woman who decides that she will be a housewife and does a very good job of it, day in, day out, is also a success. But normally, most of the women we talk to, they will not see this as success because they see, oh, I'm supposed to do this. And she doesn't get recognition. She doesn't get recognized by the society as large. But for each one of us, whether we are recognized or no, the important is that we will believe and we will feel that we are successful only if we have set out that ideal and we recognize ourselves for that. That is what is important, and it has to be our own measure of success. So to summarize, the success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job, because that is what he or she has decided to do it deliberately. Okay. So in this context or background, I want to lay my, further things, because all the, let's say the principles or sutras, which, I have seen and then I have utilized over life, I have found that when this is at the root, that is what gives contentment and happiness as well. And it's not just, some measure, which after some time, fades away. However, at the same time, as I said, see, normally even initially when I talked about success, typically we tend to think in terms of those, 5 to 6 areas of our life, as I said, which is typically career, finances, relationship, personal, and maybe sometimes contribution to society. If some people stretch it to that level, thinking beyond oneself. But still, it has to do all with I, me, myself. However, what I have realized is that this progressive realization is required, but it is required for ideals on 2 wings for a successful flight of our life. So like, one is what I call the real wing and another is what I call the relative wing. So bear with me for some time. I will, come to this, what I mean by this in a second. So what is relative versus real? So Lord Krishna, my favorite Lord, and whom, as they call Ishta Devata, and he has guided me, he has been guiding me since I was in 12th standard. So whatever inspiration I have, I would say is, I owe to him. And what he says, and there are 2 key verses in Bhagavad Gita, which I feel if we get, and if we apply it to our life, it can really change our life, or it can make it very sahaj or smooth. So the first verse is 7.4, which says that, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All this constitute my 8 separated material energies. Okay. And then he says, besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna, there's another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Okay. I don't want to make this a very detailed, spiritual talk, but I will tell you what I mean or what I want you to take away. Okay, so I'm just simplifying this. So what is Lord saying, and this is how I have understood, it may not be fully correct, but this is what has helped me. So what Lord is saying is that earth, water, fire, air, ether, all the elements, even the mind intelligence, okay, that is all matter and it is the inferior energy. But the real you or who you are is the superior energy. Okay. And then there is this ego, which is the belief, who am I, right? Which I call as the relative you. And this relative you is believing that I am all this body, mind, intelligence. That is why we typically define success as, I want to have a good health, which is related to my body. I want to do well in my career. Again, it is related to me, my mind and intelligence. I want, to have good relationships, which is again me and my family. So all the focus typically we see most of the time is related to this matter. But what the Lord is saying interestingly is that this is not all you. The real I am is here. Okay. And those of you who would have studied Bhagavad Gita, Lord also goes on to say that all these living entities are infinitesimal parts of my own thing. So each one of us, what he is saying us, has the same energy which the Lord has actually, but we are not utilizing that because our focus is always here, which is limited. Whereas we never focus where the real I is situated. If we come to this space and then operate while we have to live in the world and then use all of this, because we will be using our body, our family, our relationships, and that is all the duties we have to complete. But if we use that along with this energy or realization, then the achievement here, what we have always been striving for, becomes easy and becomes very smooth. Not to say that you will not have difficulties, you will not have ups and downs in life, but whatever you go through, when you have this as the, the power or the dynamo behind you, then it becomes very easy and fulfilling. But this, how do you require this? So again, Lord says in 4.3 that to achieve this, you have to learn the truth by approaching a master, because they have already seen the truth, right? And that is why I say you approach him and then render service unto him, which is that learn from him and apply it in each. And for me, I have two gurus which I have realized. So the relative and real. So relative, what Jagdish was saying in terms of Jack Canfield, I consider him as my relative guru, because the success principles I have been following Jack from 2012-13 onwards. The certification I did was recent this year. Used the lockdown to also do that, cover that over the weekends. But I have been following him for almost 7-8 years now and trying to apply the success principles in my daily life. And so he is, for those of you who don't know Jack, just a brief introduction is that he is famous as the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And so he has to his credit more than 250 titles, sold over 500 million books. And also he has also written the book called Success Principles, and he is considered to be America's #1 success guru. But again, see, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking all the relative part. If you see, again, what I talked about, matter, mind, body, and so on. But yes, by worldly standards, he is no doubt successful. And at the same time, my other real guru has been Dada Bhagwan. Dada Bhagwan is the Gnani you are seeing in the background. And currently, there is Pujya Shri Deepak Bhai, who is now taking, what Dada Bhagwan set up, and he is conducting those activities on behalf of Dada Bhagwan. And Dada Bhagwan and Deepak Bhai both are Gnanis. When I say Gnanis, these are the ones who can actually impart to you the knowledge of the self. Okay. And so those of you who are interested, I've given the website below. You can visit that, and there's a lot of stuff out there. Each and everything they have put it on the website. So what I've tried to do, as Jagdish was saying, is that, whatever are the success principles which are there, which is applicable to the relative world and which is also applicable to the real world, what we need to balance, I've learned from these two gurus. So there are 7 principles. I will not go into details that because, we are short of time. But I will, in the end, maybe we have time, I have a slide on that. I will just show you what those 7 are. But today we will focus on the fundamental life sutra, as I call it, which is the base or the foundation for all this. So what is that? So the fundamental principle is take 100% responsibility for your life. Why? Because the real sutra says that the fault is of the sufferer. Okay. So we'll dig into this deeper. So there's this research by Jack Canfield in his book, which is called The Power of Focus. And in this, he has studied over 3,000 successful people across the world. And the three key takeaways are, what is the three things that distinguishes the 3,000 people, if you summarize? They are known for taking 100% responsibility. These people have unusual clarity of purpose, vision, and goals, and they are action oriented. So this is the sort of key takeaway. There's some research I thought I will just share with you, which he has done over several years. So what does take 100% responsibility at a relative level or day-to-day level mean? Okay. So if you understand this equation, then I think we can at least conceptually understand this, and then it comes to the application in our life. E plus R equals O. What is E? E stands for any event which has happened or is happening in your life. So it could be something like, as day to day, like, okay, you decided to go out for a picnic, it started raining, and then your mood goes for a toss saying that, oh, something different happened. It could be as, as anything else, as, you were expecting a promotion, the promotion didn't happen. So that's an event. You suddenly fell ill in your life. So that is an event. So these are the things which are occurring to you, right? What is R? R is your response to that, and O is the final outcome. Okay. So let's take again that example. So let's say you are decided to go on a picnic. Okay. Suddenly it starts raining. So what are the two responses? So one is you crib about it. You say that, oh, this has spoiled my plans. And then you sit at home. You say, no, let's, cancel this. The other response could be, oh, this is, this is an adventure which we can have. Let's go out in the rains and enjoy. So a person who does this will be enjoying, will be happy in his life. The other person who doesn't do that will be just cribbing and sad about it. So same event, different response, different outcome. Okay. Similarly, let's say your spouse comes back from office, okay, and the whole day you have been waiting. It's your birthday there, and he or she has forgotten to wish you. Okay, so this is an event, right? It's your birthday. Your spouse forgot your birthday. So what could be your response? Two responses. You will say, oh, he doesn't love me. He or she doesn't love me now. Okay, he is forgetting my birthday as well. Anniversary's birthday. He doesn't remember anything because he doesn't love me. And what is the outcome? You feel sad, you feel depressed, and you carry that forward. What could be other response? If you know that you really love him or her, and he or she also loves you, you could say, oh, it must have been a very bad day for him or her because he really loves me. But why is it that he has forgotten? Is he all well? Is he, or something else has happened at office for him? So again, same event, but different response. And in that you will be, more compassionate, more concerned, and then you will try to do something for him or her, and the outcome will be totally different. And again, that doesn't get carried forward. So any of the event which is happening in your life, which could be as simple as this day-to-day event, to it could be very big events as well. Okay. So now somebody may say, okay, there are some things which happen in life. What can I do? Let's say event like, you fall ill, let's say it could be like a terminal illness like cancer. Okay. Am I responsible? How do I take responsibility? Yes, but the way you can respond once the event has happened, that is in your hands. That is in your controls. The outcome may not be fully in your control. That is fine. But how will you respond to that? What will you do? That is in your hands, and what is you can do about it happily. Either you do it happily or you do it, being helpless or feeling sad about it. Now, just to give my own example as to where I was. So 2 years back, my wife had come down with the cancer. At that point in time, as I said, following these principles, how did we apply it, which is there? Okay, so we decided that, while she was going through the treatment, there will be 5 things we'll be doing daily. Something like, she has to eat certain fruits. She'll be listening to the Sai Baba's Aarti daily. She'll be, listening to some other music. And she was also doing this soul healing exercise, which Master Prince here, who is on this call as well. Thanks, Master Prince, for that. She used to follow that as well. And we used to talk about our future, okay, every day. And we said we will do this daily, which is there. So now, see, that is an example, like outcome we didn't know. But these are the 5 things you keep doing every day. It's a progressively you're trying to go towards an ideal, which you want is that whatever you're going through, the process or the, the test or the, the treatment, which is worse than the disease itself, we are trying to do it in a, with equanimity or in a positive way. That was what was in our hands. And that is what we tried to do. So that again, I would treat as success. And because, do the controlled responses by taking full responsibility for the event which has already occurred. So you have only control over the 3 responses, what you have here. So the thoughts you think, the images you visualize, and the actions you take, which is your behavior. Okay. If you don't like your outcomes, change your responses. Okay. So let's say one of your outcomes is your overweight. So what do we do? 1st of Jan, we sign up for a gym, and then we see that, New Year's resolution, and within Jan itself, many people, give up on their resolution. Why does that happen? Because again, it is guided by, other people's behavior. Like, everybody is signing up for a gym. I also should be an ideal weight. Now, is that the weight really you want? Is that your true ideal? And if that is your true ideal, yes, progressively go through that. What is the reactions that you can change there? So you put down those 3 things, try to do those 3 things every day. Slowly the outcomes will change. But just, by thinking, by just planning something, giving it up halfway, things are not going to work. And again, the same cycle would start. So as they say, if you keep doing what you have always done, you will keep getting what you have always got, right? So you, in fact, Einstein has put it very nicely that if you do the same thing and keep expecting different results, he calls that as insanity. Even I think one of the dictionaries, the insanity is defined that way, that you keep doing the same things and you expect different outcomes. So another live example, which we see, and this is at a different level. I don't know how many of you know this lady. She is Anurima Sinha. She was a 7-time Indian volleyball team player. Okay, 7-time. And she was doing very well. And she was then traveling from her hometown to Delhi for an interview with the CISF, because she always had this dream of working with the forces, and she was going for an interview at CISF. And then what happened was there's some robbers on the train, and she tried to resist when she was being robbed, and she was pushed out of the train. Okay, and both her legs came under the wheels, and she had to be amputated. Both her legs had to be amputated. Okay, and now she is a sports player, always had been sports, doing sports for all her life, and now without her legs. Now again, see, this is the event, but how do successful people respond? Obviously, she couldn't go back to volleyball because she couldn't, play that. But what she decided was that I would be a mountaineer. Yes, you are hearing it right. She said, I will be a mountaineer. And then, doctors initially advised her against that, but she stuck to her guns. She worked on it. And then finally, there's this book also now, Born Again on the Mountain. And this is Anurima, where she becomes the world's first female amputee to scale Mount Everest. In fact, she is only, if I remember correctly, she is the only amputee as well who has scaled the top peaks of all the 7 continents in the world. Okay, so this is what I was trying to say. Obviously, this is at a different level. Not all of us need to be like that, or not all of us will have events like that to give responses to like that. But what I'm trying to bring out here is that the responses are in our control, and that is the only thing which is in our control. And by changing or focusing on our responses, we can make our life successful. Now here, yes, maybe prior to this incident, her goals would have only been related to her volleyball, and at the most, as I said, maybe with respect to the security forces where she was planning to make her career there, so that post her volleyball retirement, she could plan that. But suddenly life changed. But one thing is, she could have just, been there at that and stagnated. But she has become successful, or rather more successful, by becoming a mountaineer despite having no legs. So this is what calls for success. But then what gets in our way? Blaming, complaining, and excuse making, right? This is all what we do. So either we blame somebody if we don't achieve something what we have set out to, or we complain about it, saying that, like as I said, as small thing as picnic, we complain about the weather. We blame somebody, oh, this didn't happen because of that person or somebody, or we make some excuses. There was traffic, so I couldn't reach on time, and so on. But what all of this does is that there is loss of energy. I will come to this I will show you some experiments which have been done as to why this all leads to loss of energy and hence is of no use. More importantly, it does not in any way, any one of this change the outcome for us. So what we had set out to, it doesn't change. But we find that, in society, it is accepted now, to crib, to blame, complain, because what happens is the opposite person will just be, hearing you out and also maybe agreeing to your this thing, and you feel just temporarily good about it, that somebody is also shaking hands with you, and you feel that that's fine. But with respect to your goals or what you are set out to be, it adds nothing. If at all there is a big loss, which I will come to what happens. So what are the effect of the thoughts or emotions in our body? So before this, let's do a small exercise here. Okay, I'll just stop sharing my screen. Yeah. Now, if you all guys can come on, put your videos on, that will be helpful. So that even I can see which will there. And maybe put your pens and paper down. Okay. And take both your hands. You can see my hand, which is there. Yes. All of us have this line here at the wrist. Okay. Just join both the lines like this and put the hands together. Yeah. The wrist line, just join like this, put the hands together. Join your hands like this. Yeah. Now see the length of the hand. For most of us, both our hands would be of the same length. For some of us, one hand may be slightly smaller by a couple of millimeter. Yeah. Generally for 90% of us, both will be of the same size. But for a few of us, maybe one hand is a couple of millimeters smaller. So if your hands are of the same size, take any one hand. If your one hand is slightly smaller, take the smaller hand and put it in front of your face. Okay. Now, on a count of 3, when I say, all of you loudly, wherever you are sitting at your home, you will say, grow longer, right? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, start. Grow longer, 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 grow longer. Now again, join your hands and see whether for most of you, by a few whether your hand has grown. Yeah. How many of you? Just show your thumb. Yeah. Yeah, I can see at least, 70% people who are saying that their hand has grown longer. Yeah. Good. So all the men on the call, don't try this on anything else. There's no guarantee there. But on the hands, this has shown that. So this is the effect of our thoughts here, right? Immediately, irrespective of whether you believe or don't believe it. Okay. This works. Why this works? Because our cells, the body cells, are responding to our thoughts. This is a small demo just to show how our thoughts are very useful. Okay. Before we proceed further, I don't want anybody to sue me saying that I changed the length of their hand. So take your hand, which you used, put it in front of your face and say back to normal 6 times. Back to normal, back to normal, back to normal, back to normal, back to normal. Again, check for yourself. Both hands will be of the same size if they're of the same size. Yeah. Hands back to normal. So what is happening here is that, so this is the power of our thoughts, and we underestimate it like anything. Okay. We totally underestimate the power of our thoughts. And as small a thing like this, if let's say we think about it, only a person who would not believe, or let's say if there is a resistance to that, if you would have noticed, I didn't give you time to think about the experiment. You just conducted it, and that's why your mind didn't come in between. But some person, let's say if you doubt that it will happen, for those people this may not work. But otherwise 90% of the people I've seen it worked. When my younger daughter, she was 6 years old, she could do it, and then she used to show it to everybody else. So it right from 6 years to 60 or whatever 80, it works for everyone, because it's pure science. There's nothing else. There's no hypnotherapy, nothing involved here. It's our thoughts, and that's the power of our mind. Okay, I'll just put on the presentation again. Okay, now there is the figure you see on the screen is a person called Masaru Emoto. He just passed away a couple of years back as a Japanese scientist. What he was interested in was that what he realized was that now see our human body, just now we saw the thoughts on our body, right? What our thoughts can do to our body. And 70% or 75% of our body is made up of water. This person was interested in studying the effect of thoughts on water. And where he got inspired was that, again, I don't know how many of you know, but a snowflake which falls, right? A snowflake is nothing but, condensed water, which is a simple chemical formula H2O. But research has shown that no two snowflakes which have fallen on the earth for millions of years, no two snowflakes, if you see under a microscope, they are identical. The internal, there is an intricate design inside when you see it under a microscope. Any two snowflakes you pick up, and over the years they have traced that they are unique. Now just imagine if a snowflake which is only H2O is such unique, Lord is so great. We human beings, which are such a complex creature, okay, and each one of us has mind, intelligence, and so on, how much unique each one of us is. Again, we don't honor that uniqueness in each one of us. Okay, that's a separate topic. Sorry for digressing, but what Masaru Emoto studied was that he said that since our thoughts are affecting the body and also water, he wanted to study this. And what he did was that he took 3 containers of water. For 20 days to one container, he kept giving love. Okay, just saying, I love you for this thing, giving love emotions. To the second container, he just said, thank you. Now, thank you is a emotion which is lower in level to love, right? Says, thank you for, quenching my thirst. Thank you for all the help and so on. And to the third container, he gave anger, saying that you are useless, you are not helpful, whatever it is you call it, right? And then he did this for 20 days, every day, 20 minutes spread over over each day. And then at the end of 20 days, he crystallized this water in each of this and studied them under the microscope. Okay. And this is what his results were. So where he gave thank you, which is a frequency of 300, this is how it looks like. This is water crystals, of the condensed water under a microscope. You can see it is symmetrical, lustrous, and, shining as well. But when to the crystals he gave love or happiness, see it's much more bright. It's like diamond, right? Same water, same source, frequency 540. And this is what anger does. Yeah, it is actually pale yellow and no crystals at all, fully deformed. Okay. And now, as Jagdish was mentioning, I also done this certification in Louise Hay. She has written a book. She was famous for the book called You Can Heal Your Life, and also You Can Heal Your Body. And even other researchers have also shown that 90% of our diseases are psychosomatic, that is, they are caused by the mind. And this is one evidence of that. So if you carry any other emotion which is of lower frequency, which starts with blaming, complaining, anger, depression, sadness, whatever it is, those are our lower frequency emotions. The moment you carry this, you yourself are carrying that. Yeah, nobody else is carrying that. And you yourself are fully responsible for that. You may blame the event, but the emotions you are carrying, and this is what it is doing to the water inside your body. and finally this translates into various diseases. Now for each one of us, it may not be same. Whichever is the weaker organ, relatively weaker organ, there it tends to manifest. But 90% of the diseases rise from here. So the only thing what is there is we have to try to change our mindset from a blaming, complaining mindset to a success mindset. So the blaming mindset is, it is not my fault. But when you say that I am responsible, what it opens up is that you can actually see, or at least attempt to see, how I created or allowed this, right? So if let's say the any relationship is not working, which is there, what is it that I can do in this? So try something different so that it works. But because otherwise you keep doing the same thing, again nothing works. Okay, now let's say your weight, you're not solving your weight issue. Yes, can I cut down on some calories? And is it that by having more calories, have I created it in some way? It is because of what they did, I begin to search for ways to get the result I want. And they are responsible, I am 100% responsible. Again, quoting my favorite Lord, in Bhagavad Gita he says, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So if you choose to follow the blaming or complaining mindset, your mind will be your enemy. But if you choose to follow the success mindset by taking full responsibility, the mind will be your friend and will help you. This is what the Lord is saying here. The choice is ours. One more thing I want to delve. See, this is important. While this complaining or blaming may look a very small or frivolous topic sometimes, but some of these aspects are very clear to understand and then more importantly apply. One thing we should realize is that we complain about things that we can change. Do you complain about gravity? Yeah. Now again, gravity is there and it's not necessarily helpful, right? Let's say something slips out of your hand because of gravity. You drop your phone and you lose your valuable phone. But do you complain about gravity? Oh, ये gravity नहीं होता ना, तो आज मेरा phone बच जाता. ये gravity के वजह से मेरा phone टूट गया. No, I have not heard anybody saying that, right? Because you cannot change. That's common for all. The old man who is stooping, okay, because of his weak spine or weak bone, the gravity pulls it down and he is continuously stooping. But when he is walking, I have not seen any old man saying, "Arey, ye gravity nahi hota, I would be walking straight. Because of gravity, I'm stooping." What have we done? In fact, we are using gravity and we are playing with it. And all the things, our daily life which goes because of gravity. And so we have tried to use that what could turn to be negative or which has negative effects as well to our positive. And that is what we have to do with any event also which occurs in our life and where, let's say, it happens and where you have no control. The only way you can do is handle that with a positive response. Another last point here is the complaining or blaming also means that I am putting my attention on what I don't want rather than what I do want. And so from a law of attraction perspective, I'm putting focus on what I don't want, and that is what will keep coming to my life. Yeah, people know this person, Martin Luther King. His famous speech, did he say, "I have a complaint"? No, he says, "I have a dream." Okay, and slowly, while the dream didn't realize while he was alive, but slowly it is still taking shape. So just to summarize quickly, E plus R equal to O. You have the choice of either blaming the event or your point of power is your response. So let's do an exercise here. Don't worry, I'm not getting you into physical exercises here, but each one of us need to do our own push-ups. Yeah, because if you want to build the muscles, nobody can do the push-ups for you. So just take your pen and paper. Okay, write down, if I were to take 5% from wherever you are today, whatever responsibility or whatever you are doing, just say I take 5% more responsibility for my health, let's say. I would, okay. And just to give you an example, so let's say my would be I would drink more water daily, go for a walk 5 days a week, eat less sugar and salt. This is just an example which is there. So each one of you wherever you are in your life and whatever you have to do with your health, please write down. I will give you a minute. Just write down, if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my health, I would. 1, 2, 3. Similarly, next, right, if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my relationships, I would. Example could be I dedicate 1 hour quality time with my wife every day. Call up and chat with one friend every week. Play over the weekends with my kids. Whatever it is. Now you may want to network, you may want to do anything, whatever is means relationship for you, where if you feel you take 5% more responsibility, what is it that you will do? 1, 2, 3. Just write it down. So if you reflect on this, there are two key takeaways. You know, in a more see, if we had a lot of time, generally how we do this in workshops is that we share with each other, and so that that helps us to see how different people are thinking. What is it that I can do more? That is one. But here, unfortunately, for lack of time, one, and then even in this online mode, we are not able to do that. But in the workshops, what we have seen is that what people say is that the main realization, and I hope for many of you that would be there as you are writing this down, even a small 5% more responsibility could also entail doing a lot of things which you are not doing till now. And if you start doing that thing, those things, 3 things, let's say what was with respect to your health, what it was with respect to your relationship, progressively going back to our definition of success, if you do this from tomorrow, progressively you will be heading towards your ideal and you will enjoy your success. You can try that out. And what I would urge each one of you is that, typically there are these 7 categories of our life. We did this for 2 just now, health and relationships. But as I said, there's work and career, finances, your personal, whether it is your possession or what you want to be, your spiritual goals, free and fun time, and finally contribution to society. For each of these 7, I would urge you that you write this down. Those may be very small things which you're not doing now, but you take 5% more responsibility from today and start doing these things from today or tomorrow. And then progressively you move forward in each of these areas. If you follow this, friends, for a month or a year, you will achieve amazing results. And you will see that whatever you wanted earlier, struggled with, you are achieving those things with ease. So just to summarize again, the relative sutra, which is take 100% responsibility as the fault is of the sufferer. So till now we have covered the one wing of the the matter side of it, as to how to take 100% responsibility, so that helps us in aiding our success. Now at a next level, which is at a spiritual level, though I don't like to call that a spiritual level, because both these aspects are, see, the spiritual aspect of it and the relative aspect of it, right? Some people think that yes, this has to be done post retirement and all that thing. Since that is a part of life and that is the real you, as Lord says, that has also to be lived every day, and it can't wait. After I finish my work, career, duties, everything, I start with that. Unfortunately, that's why people again struggle, and people end up life in misery. So what is this fault of the sufferer? It sounds very harsh, but that is the truth of it. Now, who is a sufferer? Sorry, one second.
Mihirji, Mihirji, please mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Just one second. 1 second. Yeah, sorry, there's some technical error. Okay. So till now we have seen that when we are faced with any event, okay, and then how do we respond to that, right? But sometimes we see that, you know, some events in or some the happenings in our life or what we set out to be, like what happened with Anurima, right? Those we feel is totally outside our control. And at that level, how is it that we handle life, or what is it? What is the principle which is working behind, which can help us, right? So let's say each one of us set goals in all those 7 areas of life. Like even Anurima would have set the goals, and suddenly life throws something different for her. And then what do we do? And then we say that why has this happened to me? Okay, why does such things happen? And that is where we have to stretch, you know, that maybe whatever is there in our this life, or what we have done, what we are doing currently, that may not be the only thing that is affecting us. So our past choices and responses, now this can go into past lives as well. Okay, now there may be some people who do not believe in past life, but still, at least my personal thing is that, you know, some of the things which happen, and why is it that one has to suffer somewhere, if it is not explainable in the, you know, in the current life, somewhere those are also flowing from the past life as well. The past choices or responses affect our current events. The current events then together with our current responses affect our current outcomes as well as our future events and future outcomes, right? So which means what, you and you alone are again responsible for your past, present and future. Okay. So this is also what all these scriptures say, or what, now we'll not go into very detail here given the time constraint, but what I'm trying to impress upon all of you is that even at a spiritual level, it is not that, you know, none of the scripture talks about living life in resignation or anything, but to say that yes, whatever it's given or being served on my plate in this life, somewhere or the other, it is I, by my karmas or my actions, you know, so this is nothing but the theory of karma. So my actions in the past, wherever they have been, are, you know, dealing with me the events which I'm facing. Now, yes, those events in this life when we see, and unfortunately we just compare with our peers, colleagues, or the world at large, and we feel that we have been cheated or we have been not given a, you know, fair play, but that is not how it works. Whatever is coming on your plate is fair to you. The only again choice we have is how we respond to that now, so that the are you again continuing that cycle forward, or are you at least attempting to change that cycle? Now how to clean this? Now, you know, now some things like, you know, what hit Anurima, terminal illnesses, or something, you know, sudden loss of a loved one, when, you know, at an untimely in an untimely manner, when all those things happen, how do you address that? Okay. Now what Dada Bhagwan says is that, you know, again, suffering is an undesirable outcome, but we have to take 100% responsibility for that. And while we will not be like for our other things, our day-to-day things, we could pinpoint and say that yes, this is what I did wrong and now I can change it, which is all what the exercises partly we did earlier. But at some of the bigger things in life, you know, you may not be able to pinpoint what is it that caused or landed you to be here. But if we still believe in the principle, like, you know, even the gravity, right? Even before Newton discovered that, gravity was always there. Just because it was labeled as gravity, it's not that gravity came into being from that point in time. Till time immemorial, when the world was formed, without gravity, it wouldn't have worked. Similarly, this also is a fundamental principle of life and the evolution in general, where the responsibility is solely with each one of us for our respective lives. Now, for some of the bigger things, the way to take responsibility is that yes, once you accept this principle, whatever is happening to you, while you're attempting to respond differently, while you're struggling, acknowledge and confess that this is a result of my past responses of behavior, whenever that is. That is what is alochana, is just a term which Dada Bhagwan uses. It's a Gujarati term. And then seek forgiveness, that is do pratikraman, as you know, some of you would know this term, that is apology coupled with remorse for the wrongdoing. And then pledge not to repeat the mistake to the best of your efforts, which is called pratyakha. Okay, so you acknowledge that. Now you may not be able to change it overnight, that's fine, but acknowledge, yes, somewhere or the other, this is my past response, you know, and now, you know, I seek forgiveness for that. And then I repeat, even if I don't know what that mistake was, you can say I pledge to repeat, not to repeat the mistake. Okay, just a short story here, which is there, which is again, you find it in the Mahabharata. So Dhritarashtra asked Lord Krishna, you know, after the war, you know, I had 100 sons. Now it takes, you know, it takes a lot of merit karma or punya to have 100 sons. And at the same time, I lost all my 100 sons in the war. So why is this? Why is this happened? Like on one hand, I would have gained a lot of punya in my past lives. That is why I could have 100 sons here. But I also had to suffer, you know, seeing the death of all my 100 sons. Why is this happening to me? And Lord Krishna says that 50 lives back, okay, you are a hunter and a very cruel hunter at that. And once you killed a family of 100 birds and you didn't stop there, you burnt them alive. And watching that her kids burn the, you know, die, the mother bird, you know, cursed you, saying that even you will witness death of your 100 children, and even she jumps into the fire. Now he says, I had to fulfill her curse as well. And so this karma, now for you to beget 100 sons, you're right. You have to take 50 more lives on that punya, and you got 100 sons now. And then her curse, which I had also to fulfill, is now getting fulfilled, so that, you know, you are also witnessing the death, so that you can sort of, you know, repent for your mistake you did there. So the key takeaway here is your positive, that is the merit karmas and demerit karmas, do not set off. You have to pay for it. When I say pay for it, it means you have to fulfill that, you know, or the effects of that independently. So you will get the fruits also, the good fruits, and you will also get the bad fruits. And only when both you handle with equanimity will you clear your karma. And the second is, yes, you know, here it shows that it could go back, you know, it could be very long. But the good point is that even if you don't know, so he had the benefit of Lord next to him who could tell him, you know, why it was caused. All of us don't have that, unfortunately. But you have to believe this principle, because you can slowly see in your life that this is how the principle works. Each one has to realize this, and that is what realization is all about. And once you get that, then whatever things are happening, you can do this immediately. You know, you confess it, you do the pratikraman, seek forgiveness, and pledge not to repeat that. That definitely cleanses your karma faster. Otherwise, the cycle will repeat itself and you will suffer more. So what does 100% responsibility do for us? So it makes us peaceful, because there's nothing or nobody to blame, right? Okay, something has not worked. Oh, I do something different. Go ahead in life. It makes us more effective and creative, because my own energy is getting conserved. So I naturally go in for seeking all the answers. I'm not going out. And as I said, as we keep practicing the forgiveness, I forgive others, and then I reach a stage where I forgive myself also, because I'm trying my best with the best resources and intentions I have at that point in time. As I learn, I may change my responses, but then I accept my responses, which I did to the best of my ability, and move forward. So then what remains is only love, which is real you. And obviously this is, I have just tried to put it down here, not to claim that I have reached there. I am also still struggling to, you know, it's a back and forth which happens continuously. But this is where I am, at least I believe that where one will reach, and there are people who have reached there. And what really happens is, as you reach there, you know, suddenly magic begins to happen in your life. Okay, how does this happen? You know, when you start cleansing this, as I said, with forgiveness, you start cleansing your karmas or your hurdles in life, magic. And I will share one story, the last story, so that, you know, that gives a gist. And I have also witnessed this magic to smaller extent. This is a very big one. So there is this person called Dr. Yu Len. Okay. So in the 80s, he was, he took up a job at the Hawaiian State Hospital. Okay, now the story goes like this. So this was somewhere mid 80s. So in this hospital, there were, people, or rather, there were also criminals who had severe mental disabilities to the extent that they were very violent. Okay, and there was, therefore, the staff used to leave. Nobody wanted to work there because they used to also, these people used to be tied in chains, and even during, lunch, dinner, or whatever, when they were freed, they used to attack the staff there. And there are certain deaths also which had happened in the hospital and so on. So nobody was willing to work there. And this Dr. Yu Len, he takes up that job to be the in charge or the superintendent of that hospital. And he's there for a couple of years. And at the end of that, this special ward which they had created for this hardcore criminals was shut down after a couple of years. Why? Not because they were discharged. Some of them were discharged from the hospital because they got cured. The others were not, so harmful or violent. They also got healed to a certain extent where they could be in the regular ward of the hospital. Didn't have to be changed and all. Now, what did he do? Now, he didn't meet any of these criminals. Okay, there were a couple of dozen there. He didn't meet anyone. He didn't counsel them, coach them. Okay, every day he used to go and do the forgiveness practice. Okay, what was that forgiveness practice? I will come. There's a that's called Ho'oponopono. But what he did was he's a forgiveness practice, and the forgiveness practice not for those guys, but what he said is that taking this responsibility. Okay, somewhere these criminals or this situation has come into my life. I am responsible for that, and he used to ask for forgiveness for himself. He used to go every day, take up the file of each of those patients, and looking at their photo, he used to do a technique which I will come shortly, which is called Ho'oponopono. And he did this for a few months. And just with this, people changed. There was no medication. There was nothing. Well, the regular medication was on, but other than that, he personally didn't do anything. He just kept cleaning himself. Now, there's another guy called Joe Vitale, and he made this famous. This is not known because so it's an ancient Hawaiian prayer which is called Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian word for the phrase which means making things right. Okay, and it's not just a word, but it is a process. And it was actually brought out to the world by this lady. She is a Hawaiian lady, Morna Simeona. Now she had a very different, the Hawaiian prayer was actually a very detailed 14-step procedure, but later it is Dr. Yu Len who simplified it. In fact, so it was kept as a secret. It was a Hawaiian tribe secret. Since Morna Simeona took it out to the world, she was actually ostracized. She was removed from that tribe. But her objective was to help the world in general. Okay, and so she did it. She took that. She moved out of the island. Dr. Yu met her, and he practiced it. But then there is this famous author called Joe Vitale. He has written 2 books on this, At Zero and Zero Limits, which made it actually famous. And now if you type Ho'oponopono, there are millions of things you will get on the net. But this actually works. And this is similar to, the forgiveness practice, what I laid down earlier. It's very similar to that, which Dada Bhavan has also taught. And this is what brought me personally to say that, yes, finally, the fundamental principles are all the same. So what is this Hawaiian prayer? It is just 4 small phrases. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. And I love you. Okay. Now, so there are multiple ways you can use this, right? One is, even if you keep chanting this like a normal mantra, it will give you benefits. Things will start, you will see that be easing for you. But yes, if you say this with understanding, what am I sorry for? So like going back to our 100% response, let's say some event has occurred, big event or even small event, whatever that is, has occurred in your life, right? You can say, I'm sorry. Why? Now we have the knowledge. It is caused because of some past, I don't know, but I'm sorry for that because I know without the cause, there won't be any effect. And then you say, you please forgive me for that. Okay. And I thank you. Okay, Lord is very kind. So you can see this as a prayer to the Lord. You thank you. Why? You know that Lord is kind and your prayer will be answered and you are forgiven, right? And you say, I love you. I love you to the Lord. Correct? So I am sorry, please forgive me. So this is nothing but actually taking 100% responsibility, and that is what Dr. Hewland did. He didn't go out and try to treat or heal the hardcore criminals. He healed himself. He said, there is some part of me which has this criminal element, because of which that criminal element is out there in the world. What I am seeing them as criminals, that needs to be healed inside me. And he kept just doing this. Looking at the photo of each person, he used to just say this, I am sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, I love you. That's it. Yes, but you do that with understanding, right? Then the effects are faster. Correct? You see a beggar on the road. Okay, now there could be multiple responses, right? Now you may say, oh, you may feel sorry for him, that's fine. Now, and your response could be you just ignore him or you give him some help and you move ahead. That's fine. Again, at a relative level, that is good. Instead of just, some people also say, hey, why these beggars are here? They're dirting my place. That's, you're binding negative karma. But you may also give him some whatever money, you're binding positive karma, but still you're binding something. Yeah. But if you really go to the next level, like what Dr. Hugh said, that yes, he's a beggar, but what, Lord said that beggar is the material part of it. In reality, he is also part of Lord only. If you are not seeing the Lord there, I am sorry for that. Then please forgive me, because I'm seeing a beggar where in reality it's the Lord out there. But yes, the realization may have come late, but I still thank you for the realization and I love you, so that you keep me in that. So this prayer, you can take it to whatever level you want, and it goes to that final level where you can use to reach there, I believe. Not that I don't claim I have reached there, but if I apply this, I'm sure where finally Lord Krishna says that anyway the whole purpose or objective is the whole. One second, I think my internet connection is unstable. Yeah, the whole objective of life is that you see me in everyone and see everyone in me. Okay, and then you are not lost to me and I am not lost to you. This one simple practice, by taking 100% responsibility, can even take you to that level. So for next 30 days, all of you, I request that act as if. So even if you still don't believe in this principle, I would say you can act as if from now onward that you are 100% responsible for whatever is happening in your life. Those three things, complete that exercise and work on that from tomorrow, whatever those three things are, and keep doing that for every day, and see at the end of 1 month where you are. And do any of the forgiveness practices, I would say, suits you, with the understanding that you are doing this because you are taking 100% responsibility for your life. And I am sure that there will be some magic, if not big magic, like what Dr. Yu achieved, because obviously he achieved it over a period of few months, and he had been doing this practice for long. But even if we start today without any, I would say, even spiritual background or anything for that matter, even if you do these three things, I am sure magic will start happening in your life. And do share your magic with me. I will be very happy to hear about that. So this is where I would end. Since if you are interested, just as a last slide, which are the 7 life sutras, I will not go into the detail here, but this was the first what we talked about, 100% responsibilities, qualities of the sufferer. The second is we should know our life purpose. As I said, each one of us, we are unique, and I believe each one of us has unique life purpose, even in the material sense. But this will again bear fruit or will give large results after knowing who am I. Okay. The next is we have to be driven by our vision and goals, like which was also coming out in Jack's research, that all successful people are, they have good clarity about their vision. But we should always be open to be guided by higher power, because life has its twists and turns, we have seen. So we have to maneuver that. We have to develop daily disciplines for success, and the Guru's Agnyas should get top priority here within the disciplines. We have to take action, because without action, you will not achieve anything. But at the same time, we have to learn this again, this is a very deep topic. Unfortunately, we will not be able to cover here now. That there is action in inaction and inaction in action. Ask, which is feedback, which is there so that, you can go faster in your life. And while being in the mode of, surrender. Not that I know everything. So even ask people, don't ask for things because, the ego comes in between. But if you ask things, even at a day-to-day basis, things will get simplified you. And similarly, once ego is surrendered, again, things would start moving smoothly for you. And drop out of the ain't it awful, that is the complaining club, by always being in the company of satsang, I think, which we are doing now. So this is a good platform. And thank you very much for giving me this platform to share my thoughts and views. I hope it has been of use to everyone. And I wish you all the very best success in your lives. Open to answer if we have time. I think I am on time. We have 6:10. I think.
Yeah, I had a question,
and answers.
Sushant, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Sure. Yeah, Abhishek.
Abhishek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying this. Can you direct this this technique you said, forgiveness, to a particular outcome or a desire, or it is a generic? I mean, you can use it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I just take a minute to clarify?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, do you do it generally saying that, for example, if you're stuck somewhere,
yeah,
and you say that, okay, if I'm stuck, then I take responsibility. But
yeah,
this technique, do you use it generally that I'm sorry for whatever is happening, or do you or you target it that I'm not getting this outcome because, and therefore I take responsibility, and you practice this technique?
No, see, there are two things. See, first of all, see, in life in general, see, if you're happy and content, there's nothing to do here. Just live it. Meaning you can live happily and this thing. At any point in time, even if you're doing well, right? If you have a better outcome, something else in mind, right? That is where you're striving for. Now, yes, it could be better than from where you are. And if you have a feeling that, where you want to reach, there is some struggle there, or you are, getting stuck. When I say stuck, it need not only be negative. It's a relative thing, right? Like what is stuck for you may not be for somebody else. And it need not be a great calamity. But let's say you're doing well and now you want to look at a next stage, but you are trying for a year or whatever, but something you're not moving positively in that direction, what you have set out to. Do this. That is one. Second is the forgiveness practice is not about the outcome, not about other people. Okay, it's not that, oh, my wife is or my spouse is not helping me, so that I'm stuck. The forgiveness or the Ho'oponopono, both the practices is about me and mine going in. I have to clean, right? Again, Dr. Yulin didn't say, he didn't know the criminals also actually, but he still said, I somewhere am responsible for this outcome or this event to have occurred in my life, and I'm cleaning that. So it's an internal cleaning, okay, to move, if you remember my slide, from going from the small I am to the big I am. Because once you are at the big, on this journey, as you move big I am, you are then drawing more and more energy of the universe, because you are not restricted to you as Abhishek. You are drawing more energy from the universe, which then makes your work more easy and smooth. So it's your cleaning to tap in more energy, which is already there, but that infinite energy we are not able to tap because of all these coverings, which could be in the form of past karmas, which could be in form of our beliefs, which could be in form of our thoughts, which again could be conditioned from our, whatever lives, but we have to all unwind. The good part though is that you don't have to do anything to reach the infinite, because that infinite is already there. You just have to drop this limiting things, and that automatically that light will shine. So it's a cleansing thing. The way will, you will start seeing ways which you don't see.
Yeah, so there are some 10 audios of Dr. Yulin, which is available. It's an interview which is available on YouTube. So I strongly recommend that people should have a look at those 10. It's an interview basically of 9 or 8 to 9 minutes each. And what Dr. Yulin talks about is that he says that like as you before you get up in the morning, you see that the municipal guys have already cleaned up all the roads before you actually got up. So when you drive a car in the morning, so you can easily reach your destination without much hassles because the road has got cleaned. So what he says is that this Ho'oponopono exercise is doing that cleaning exercise before you start your journey. So what he also does is that before any interview, he does a Ho'oponopono with his camera. He does a Ho'oponopono with the seat. He does a Ho'oponopono with the questions that could be asked. So he is already setting up the whole thing in before it actually happens. So the cleaning exercise can be done in any time. It can be done during the event or even before the event itself. So that is a cleaning process. So you are only asking for forgiveness, and you are only making that you love what you are going to experience. So you are setting yourself up for something very beautiful. So that is what is his intention is, to clean up whatever negative thoughts you have and set it up with the beautiful new thoughts which can emerge in the present. So you don't know, you're not telling that I want it to happen this way. He's only saying that I'm cleaning that this negative thought is not there, and is open to receiving any new thought or any new thing that can happen. So that is
Thanks,
a very
yeah.
Understood.
Thanks,
Understood. Understood.
thanks, Jagdish.
Yeah.
That was
my pleasure.
Jagdish, should you send the links of those things in the group so that at least one video, at least then everybody knows what is it?
Yes, I will send you those. There are 10 videos. I will send you the link of one video. Automatically, you will get the 9 videos. But I strongly recommend that you all should see it at least once.
Sure.
It's so simple and so practical. I mean, it is very life transforming.
So let's say as an example, let's say Abhishek, see, even if you are stuck in traffic, right? So let's say you are going to office, stuck in traffic. Now again, going back to E plus R equal to O, you could just be blaming the traffic. You could be blaming let's say the traffic police, or let's say if the signal is not working, you are blaming the government, saying that अरे मैं tax भरता हूँ, ये कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, क्या होएगा? So let's say if you are behind the wheel and you are just doing this, what is it happening? One is you're just giving out negative thoughts, right? And now we have seen our thoughts impact our body immediately. We have seen that in the hand exercise. 2, since you're carrying that thoughts for, let's say, whatever 10, 15, 20 minutes you're stuck in traffic, what is it doing to the water inside? And anyway, what are you doing to your health? So this is one set of response you have. The second is, at that point in time, do this forgiveness practice, right? Now, with the understanding, without the understanding. Even if not, the outcome is not solved, let's say. So let's say the traffic may not suddenly clear up, but I can tell you from my experiences, traffic also has cleared up. Okay, sometimes. So I have to reach on time, and rather than getting into this, you start doing the Ho'oponopono or any other forgiveness practice, somehow it opens up and you reach in time. That also does happen. But more importantly, if you instead of spending time complaining, you are spending time doing this practice, it's much beneficial. At least when you reach wherever you have reached.
What do you do when you are stuck in traffic, and what exactly do you do, if I may ask?
Just keep, so see, one is when you're stuck in traffic, couple of things. You can just keep chanting this, right? I am sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, I love you.
Yes.
Okay, so you focus on that. Now it could be.
And you think of the traffic, is it, Sushant?
Sorry?
You think of the traffic when you say that, is it?
No.
Sorry,
so see, it depends on what my internal feeling is. As I said, right? See, if I complain saying that, oh, I'm stuck, I'm going to reach late. What is it? Is it my anxiety? Is it my worry? Or am I complaining or cribbing about the government? Your government काम ही नहीं करता है. Now, why am I doing this? Now, yes, I am stuck here. One is with the belief that if you go to the belief that, yes, I can reach that time at the right place anyway, and start doing the cleaning of whatever emotions are raising inside me. So you come to a place where you are your natural, right? And what is your natural state? Your natural state is the state of love, harmony, peace. Okay. Now you, by your thoughts, have disturbed that. Okay. By what are your thoughts? That अरे traffic क्यों आ गया? मैं late हो गया. ये काम नहीं करते, इसके लिए मेरे को late हो गया. All those things. These are your thoughts, right? Which is disturbing your natural state. Now water, what is the natural state of water? It is liquid, right? And room temperature. Now, if you give heat to the water, water starts boiling. Now to bring it back to the normal temperature, what do you have to do? You don't have to add a cooler there. You just have to remove the heat. So when you remove the heat, on its own, it comes back to its Swadharma or Gunadharma, which is liquid water at room temperature. Ice is again not the natural state. It may be that natural state at that temperature, but again, ice you bring back to the room temperature or keep it there. You don't have to do anything. On its own, it comes back. Same thing, we are there. Our natural state is peace, harmony, love. We with our thoughts, we with our, all additional thing, matter, make life complicated for us. If we just dissolve that, now the thing is, unfortunately now that looks very simple, right? Move from small I am to the big I am. But this whole session now, what I am talking to you, all of you have gathered it through the filter of your mind only. So that's the stumbling block. Now, Lord is saying mind also is matter and you are above that. Now, since you are trying to understand this with your mind, how will you transcend that? That is why these gurus are required. See, otherwise, it's a very simple thing. And that is why Lord Buddha also says that even enlightenment can be instantaneous. But वो होता नहीं है. क्यों होता नहीं है? Because अपना mind बीच में आता है. So any of this process, so whatever you do, if your emotions are, if you feel are going towards the negative or the lower emotions, do practices which remove that net. So in the traffic, let's say if you feel you are being angry, if you feel you are getting anxious, if you feel you are getting frustrated, work on that cleaning by just be aware that you are angry and just chant Ho'oponopono, it will dissolve. And you will come back to your normal state. Yeah, Satish.
Satish, unmute. Satish, you're speaking with the
You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, Sushant, I'm not as philosophical as you, but I have a thought on this traffic, since it's bugs everybody in Bombay and all these metro cities.
Yeah.
So all that I say to myself is that if it takes 45 minutes to reach a place, I must leave my destination, my place where I am 1 hour before.
Yes.
And I'm going to enjoy that 1 hour, come what may. I listen to my favorite music.
Yes.
I talk to whomever I can. Nowadays, there is technology which helps you to talk in the car or whatever. If you're having a driver, then it becomes that much easier. And I'm saying, I've told myself, because this is something I can't do anything. If I stay in Ghatkopar and my office is at VT, I can't buy a house at VT. I can't find a job in Ghatkopar. Okay, plain and simple.
Yes.
So I decide that I'm going to enjoy my 45 minutes to 1 hour. Damn the BMC, damn the traffic, damn the condition of the road, damn the condition of my blessed car.
Yes.
And those 45 minutes happen to be the best 45 minutes of my day.
Exactly.
In the morning and in the evening. So no philosophy.
But
no
you're
philosophy.
Correct. But you're living the first principle, E plus R equals O, where you have decided your response. Let's start 1 hour early and enjoy your this. So that is what the response is, right? Select your response.
Yes. And if I reach in 45 minutes, I said, oh God, this music was so nice. I could have reached in another 15 minutes more.
Yes. The thing is, see, one is what you're rightly doing. That is, if you can select your response, nothing
Absolutely.
like it. That is there. But sometimes in life, see, this is a simple situation, right?
Simple like that. That's why I started it.
Sometimes there are events where you feel that the responses, what you can do, what is there in your capability, again, those are not helping you. And that is when then you have to take it to the next level where you take, and it could be anything. See, this is one simple technique which has helped me, I believe. And because it also, the base for forgiveness or Ho'oponopono is taking 100% responsibility. Now this, if you read the second book of Dr. This Joe Vitale, that is when you reach there. Initially, it looks like, "Arey hoga nahi hoga, itna kyun hai?" It doesn't come there. But when you actually come to know where it's coming from, what are you sorry for and why it will work, which is there. It could be that Pratikraman which Jains follow. It could be any simple forgiveness practice. See, the names can be anything. Okay, it's like Lord who has so many names, right? But finally is one. So the fundamental principle doesn't change. The thing is just follow it. If you are, and that internal barometer for us, right? As I said, so you have to check for yourself. Like you may not be bugged by the traffic. There could be somebody else. Now you may be bugged in some other situation. Wherever bug, solve that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so Satish, what I would like to add here is, so this is a technique which you need to build as a skill. So you get it, and then when you start practicing it, so you will become aware of everything that is happening to you moment to moment. So it is not something which is random. So your consciousness will be so high that as somebody speaking angrily to you, at that point also you are doing Pratikraman and you are being aware. It's what we discuss. We call it a shoot at sight. So like the person is saying something and you are saying, I'm sorry in your head, you're saying, I love you. So that is a very different state. So what he is telling, Sushant is trying to drive the point is that you create a new set of understanding in your life. What you're doing is planning and everything, that is fine. But when you build this skill set, your consciousness will be so high that automatically things will be like, your 45 minutes will be a breeze irrespective.
Great.
Right? So your
Great.
life will be 45 minutes of beautiful in any condition.
Wonderful.
Right? So that is what we would really want. Not that only that you, because the mind always wants what I want to do, how I want to do it. Do you have a plan, strategy, and everything is actually drop that. Be in the awareness that you are pure love and you are that pure forgiveness. And in that space, those things happen is far more powerful than your actions that comes out of your mind.
I'm learning, Jagdish. I'm learning. That is why I'm part of this lost key, no?
No, we are only sharing. I'm sure. I think even I would request Mohan Gupta ji to also give his insights, because I've heard him a lot and he has beautiful insights. Mohan Gupta ji, please, I would request you to say something over here. You can unmute yourself.
Today I'm so happy with whatever I learned from all of you. One thing is very, very prominent. Some factor within us, that missing link which he pointed out rightly, I am responsible itself. It gives me a lot of input from within, something to be corrected within, and see the joy which comes out spontaneously. So this one point, Honopono, all these techniques are very, very good, very, very effective, but you have to work for a long time practice, you have to do it.
Yeah.
But whatever he has said today, I'm really happy and thank you a lot, sir. This one formula can bring out total transformation, but you have to experience very, very honestly and sincerely with you.
Yeah.
It is just that शब्दों का ज्ञान नहीं है कि आपने ले लिया बहुत अच्छा लगा मीन्स थोड़ा आपका जो कॉन्ट्रास्ट पॉइंट था उसको थोड़े देर के लिए एनेस्थेशिया मिल गया लेकिन वो चेंज नहीं हुआ.
Correct.
You have to work upon it. So it is a wonderful session, and I would like to implement it in my personal life and give the feedback very soon. Okay.
Sure. Great, sir. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Viral or Nitesh, you would like to ask something?
I just want to say, really brilliant session. So many things opened up in this session for me, Sushant.
Okay.
So, and fortunately, I am in Triambakeshwar, and I thought I will not have network, but my network did not drop even for a second.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful atmosphere here, and I'm in midst of Brahmagiri Hills, where I'm listening to your session. So it's all the more elevating. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thanks, Videsh.
Yeah, Master Prince.
Nitesh, now we know why the network didn't give way.
Yes, you can open the photo. Yeah, Master Prince, like to say something on love, peace, harmony as well. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So a few things what I learned from Sushant is learned new and renewed new vision. One thing is when I started off with this service of offering healing to people, right in the beginning, I would say about 20 years ago, there was one thing which I had learned it through somebody regarding Lord Krishna, that everyone who is coming to you is coming to you for a reason. So if someone has come to you for help in regard to either some support or a healing or anything, it means that he or she has served you in the past. And you are at present only returning back that service. You're not doing a big favor to them. You are only returning back. I would not say paying back, but returning back. And every time, whenever any request came to me, every time the first thing which I did was, if this person has come to me for some reason, or if this situation has come to me for some reason, whatever it is, there has to be a learning for me. So what is the reason this is happening to me? What is the learning? And the first thing when I start to do is forgiveness. I ask for forgiveness for all the times I may have hurt you or taken advantage of you in this life or any past life.
Correct.
Knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, please forgive me. And I also offer my deepest forgiveness to you, to your family, to your loved ones, to your ancestors, for all the times, even though you may have caused me pain, I would still love to offer my deepest forgiveness to you. So what I realized was that when I did this initial forgiveness practice, I already felt there's a 50% cure in the person. Because the karmic cycle which was preventing the cure to happen between them, maybe I was responsible for that. Like how Mr. Naik just said, you have to take responsibility. And once you take the responsibility, believe me, things work wonderful. So what I'm actually going to do is, I was taking down notes and everything, and if at all I get the recording from any of you, I'll be very happy to review it again and do this 30-day practice. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 7-day practice, because when I keep it for 30 days, it may happen I may not fully complete it. But 7 days is something which I can achieve. Yeah. Let's do it for 7 days. If I'm able to do 7, I extend it to another 7 days, and then 2 weeks. Right. And because when you say you want to do it for a year, it's very difficult. There's so many in the way which is not possible. So that's what I'm looking out for. And there was, if you remember, I don't know if you have met her, there's Master Madeline.
One second.
How to take care of your responsibility, and how to be more responsible in your actions, in your thoughts, in your speech, in your words, in everything. And when you are that, then everything works wonderful. And she is here, she's Master Simon. If you'd like to share something, please share.
Thank you. Thank you, Jagdish, for telling Master Prince. So I also would be a part of this. I'm very grateful to everyone for allowing me to be a part and learning from each one of you. And as I have, Sushant was sharing, Sushant, right?
Yeah, Sushant.
Yes. He was sharing regarding the response and everything. It was my teaching became a refreshing kind of, that is the teaching that I had received from Master Maya in Belgium. She has taught us that how you have to be like very careful of your responses. And Master Madeline has taught us, like whenever anybody comes to you and he or she is complaining about something, just go inside and check what is that one thing that has to be changed within you. So thank you very much for all the wonderful teaching you have given to me. Thank you very much.
And we continue to look forward.
And I will practice.
That's what we do normally. Between us, we do a lot of practices and sessions. So we're going to work with each other, inspire each other, push each other to do this task which Sushant has asked us to do, and we will definitely do it. And
great. Thanks, Master Prince. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jagdish, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah, I'm fine. Absolutely. I'm I would ask anybody else if they have any more questions. Himanti or Ganesh Kamath, Srivatsan.
Srivatsan is there today.
Yeah, surprising. Good. Srivatsan.
Hey, Srivatsan. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I think can we all put our videos on so that now we can speak? Yeah, we can put all our videos on. Excellent.
Hi, Ganesh.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
It was a very beautiful session today, actually. Himanti here.
Yeah.
Okay. I just said that the session was very beautiful, because actually I knew about Ho'oponopono, but somehow the practice and all of that, how to actually transform yourself and continuously do it is something that I was not aware about. I just knew that, you take up one particular incident or one particular thing that is bothering you and apply it. And somehow it has yielded results also. But this continuous and consistent practice is something that I'm looking forward to actually now in my life. Especially the traffic example is something that it resonated so much that I am the most relieved that I'm working from home. The biggest issue that I used to face was the traffic one, and I was very blessed also because I could leave a little early also from office, and I could manage, or I would leave late, either of the two, so as to not be in that peak traffic and get stressed. And I would rather exercise rather than being in a car, which is something that I have to now actively look forward to. Even the first sutra was very useful. So that is something. These takeaways are surely something that is something that I'll put to work.
Sure,
Thank
and
you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll request Sushant to take, to also do the other sutras as well. Like he just touched upon one, so in detail. So we will ask him to, maybe cover 2 or 3 more in the next session in sometime in September, and then cover all the 7 over a period of maybe 2 or 3 months, so that we get a full glimpse of what is possible through this and the spiritual aspect of it. So that's more important for this group that we are here.
Jagdish, I'll also try to see if there can be 2 Saturdays in a week.
You'll have to start your practices for that also, Satish.
You have to Ho'oponopono for that.
Sushant, will you
Sorry?
share the presentation with us?
Sorry?
Is it possible to share the presentation? Is it possible to share the presentation with us?
Yeah, sure. But okay, I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, let me see.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sushant. Thoroughly enjoyed the session, and I think one of the things which I'll definitely be working on. I like these exercises, so I'm going to be working on the extra 5%. What we are going to do in terms of relationships, health, work, career, finances, personal. So I think that's a great exercise. I love to do those exercises, and I'll definitely be working on it. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, Naresh.
Anybody?
Thanks to Guru, who actually sent me the link early this morning. Thanks Jagdish and Sushant for the wonderful session. Good experience.
Thanks.
A lot of things we know actually, but we have not been practicing for a long time. Most of the problems with these sessions is exactly that. We practice it for about a week, and then after that we just forget about the whole thing, and we are back into the normal life. But if this is a regular meet or a regular session where we meet probably on a weekly basis, then hopefully the tempo would be alive continuously. Thanks once again. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks, Naren, for coming, and thanks Guru for inviting him. Thank you so much.
Thank you, IK. Really good to see you here. We'll connect. Yeah.
Hi. And I missed out. I think the team from Lost Key, I don't know, whoever has been responsible for setting up these wonderful sessions. Thanks a lot for taking all the pains, I should say.
Litesh.
Oh, Litesh, thanks. Thanks a lot, Litesh.
No, it's not me alone. It's Jagdish and Prakash who actually got this, and then we are just supporting. So all of us, in fact, all who are participating are instrumental in this. Let's thank the Lord for all this sessions. I think it is His energy. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Please pass on my messages to the Lord also, please. Thank you.
Surely, I am in Trambakeshwar, so I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting. It looks beautiful behind.
I'll offer my prayers on behalf of all of you to the Lord here. Thank you so much. I pray for all your well-being and happiness and good health and prosperity for everyone here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hitesh is not going to do the incremental 5%. He's going to pray for the 100% of all of us.
Sridhar, 5% at least for us to do something.